Welcome to topic 4 of the technical principles of coaching. This is a topic around goal setting. The learning outcomes for this topic will be again to discuss a variety of pedagogic techniques used to plan and deliver coaching sessions, demonstrating an understanding of the coaching and planning process. Address the principles of learning, examining how an understanding of these approaches can be incorporated into the coaching and planning processes, and also being able to define goal setting and conceptualize goal setting in your chosen sport and your coaching environment whilst referencing oriented goals. So, starting off with a quote by Mr. Lionel Messi. I start early and I stay late, day after day after day, year after year. It took me 17 years and 114 days to become an overnight success. So obviously a player, one of the greatest soccer players of his generation, no doubt. Athletes like Lionel Messi will set themselves clear goals to achieve over the course of their career and at different times and stages in their career. So a dream may be to win, 5 Ballon d'Ors like Lionel Messi has won, but there will have been goals set in the processes and lead up, and differing goals and how to achieve those throughout his career. So, goal setting is seen as one of the most common motivational tools used by coaches and sports psychologists, according to Weinberg. A goal can be defined simply as what the individual is trying to do. So, what are you working towards? What is the individual trying to achieve? That could be related to sport, can be related to personal life, professional life, career, and so on and so forth. However, goals are also considered to be more complex than just what you're trying to achieve. As well as being a motivational tool, goal setting is used to build self-confidence. So always a nice feeling when you achieve a goal that you set yourself or that somebody else sets you, depending on what the goal is and what the level is. Enhancing technique or enhancing a skill set or developing a skill set. Managing time and other resources as well, so really about focusing your efforts, your time, your resources, your desires, your motivations into completing that goal. And again, a couple of references there from the research that support this statement. So, goal setting criteria. According to Grant, goal setting should be done in such a way as to facilitate the development and implementation of an action plan. The action plan should be designed to motivate the individual into action and should also incorporate means of monitoring and evaluating performance, thus providing information on which to base follow-up coaching sessions. So our previous topic was around planning, and obviously we talked about objectives in there, and this planning over a long term, short term, medium term should also be aligned with the goals of an athlete, the goals of a team, and the goals of a coach. And I've not just put the Germany image in by chance. Germany were heavily beaten in a World Cup qualifier in 2001 by England, and what the German Football Federation did from there on, they actually ripped up everything they had in terms of their manuals and their strategy, and they brought together an expert group, people like Klinsmann, Karl-Heinz Rummenigge, Beckenbauer, to name a few, and they rewrote a plan and a strategy, and that plan and that strategy 13 years later obviously saw the men's team win the World Cup, but at youth level, on both the male and the female side of the game, they've had world champions and European champions at under 21s, under 19s, under 17s, on both the male and female sides of the game as well. So talking about planning and setting goals to achieve and how to achieve them, the DFB would probably be a good model to explore further. So, for goal setting to be effective in a sporting environment, the goals must encompass various criteria, including specificity, so they need to be specific to the sport, specific to the athletes, specific to the team and the competition level. There should be a set difficulty level, and we'll go into this further, but around how easy or how attainable is the goal to achieve. Type of goal orientation, goal drive, again we'll touch on further. Time constraints, so when do you want the goal to be achieved by? If you set a goal and never set a date by which it can be achieved, then how can we plan to work towards that goal? Long-term and short-term goals, so again going back to Messi, I'm sure he'll have set long-term and short-term goals, but the short-term goals are the chunking and the step-by-step process to achieve an overall long-term goal. Massively important is the acceptance from the athlete. So it's all well and good a coach or an organisation or a team manager setting the goals. If you've not got buy-in and ownership from the athlete, then those goals set are not going to be attained simply because the athlete isn't prepared to walk the line and work with the team and the coaching staff in achieving those, really. So there needs to be acceptance, there needs to be buy-in. Sports Coach UK, which is a key national governing body in the UK, recommend smarter goals, which we're going to explore further now. So SMARTER is an acronym for specific, measurable, agreed, realistic, timed, exciting and recorded goals. I've included a definition, so specific, individualised to an athlete and their sport. And a soccer example would be, as a holding midfield player, improve your passing accuracy to allow the team to advance forwards. So it's recognising the position, it's recognising key component of that position, and also within the sport and the principles of the game, penetration being a key principle that can be achieved by a holding midfielder. So that's specific, but it needs to be able to be monitored and measured. So a soccer example, again looking at the same player, improve the passing accuracy in games from 70% to 85%. So there's a base level and a benchmark, and then there's an attainable level or something that a goal we want to work towards. Agreed. Briefly discussed, so that athlete, team and coach are working effectively together. So little comments there. As a holding midfielder, what do you think are your key performance indicators in a game? How about passing accuracy? Question mark. Some of the conversations you may have. Realistic. Keeps athletes motivated to achieve the goals. So top 10 passers in the English Premier League for the season just gone averaged between 91% and 96% passing accuracy. So if we said to our holding midfielder, I want you to have 100% passing accuracy, it's never going to be achieved, or very unlikely to be achieved. If it was, what would the impact be of those passes? So it's setting attainable and achievable goals that can be realistically reached in the time set. So that leads us on to time-bound deadlines to keep training effective. So within the next 10 games, increase passing accuracy to 85%. So there may be a staggered and a scaffolded development within those 10 games. Exciting. So to keep athletes interested and working hard. For me, within this soccer example, that would come down to the detail. So players may want to see the impact of those passes. So the percentage, so out of the 85% passing accuracy that we're working on, you could break it down to percentage of penetrating passes, the percentage of passes that led to goals, the percentage of passes that allowed the team to enter the final third, and then show the impact that that individual had on the team. And I think that would be exciting for the player to show their contribution, their worth and their value to the team. And again, ensure that it's recorded and monitored. So helps in evaluation and design of training programs, and that could be through match and training statistics in line with the goals what are set. So the supporting physiological data. There's also KPIs, the technical and tactical KPIs that can be measured, pass maps, heat maps, that can be measured both in training and in games. So just making a note of that, and alongside a coach's plans, it could show at what times and what sessions had the biggest impact on this development process. Ink it, don't think it. So an interesting concept here. So research by sports psychologists has highlighted the importance of writing down and recording goals. And the theory behind this is goals should be recorded and put in a place or a position where they can easily be seen by the athlete. So I found this goal board from Mansfield Lady Tigers soccer team. Soccer specific goals, season record, district record, season goals. You could put the players in the top, and then, there's a lot of data in there, but it's just a way of presenting those goals, and those goals must be specific to certain players. This can be done, as I said, through goal boards or athletes writing their goals on note cards before every practice or game. An interesting story I heard from a colleague of mine at Manchester United. One of the seasons they won the Premier League, and Ruud van Nistelrooy was going for the Golden Boot. I think he was up against Thierry Henry, I don't recall now. And I think they were tied, or they were very similar going into the final game of the season at Old Trafford. I believe Van Nistelrooy scored 1 or 2 goals in that final game, and they actually won the Premier League. And as all of the team was celebrating, Ruud van Nistelrooy ran back into the changing room as the celebrations are going on to see if his competitor, who I believe was Thierry Henry, had scored in his final game. So talk about goals and goal setting and being driven. And that was a fantastic story I heard, and I do hope it's true. So looking at a case study here from the New York Red Bulls Academy, and this was something I came across with some really interesting resources about writing goals down and setting goals on their website on the link. And I want to play you this video. I'm hoping the sound comes through. If not, you'll be able to see it through the link attached at the bottom.
This month's session is on goal setting. You know, there's probably nothing that's going to help make you more successful as a player, but also as a person, than goal setting. You know, there's an expression, if you have a big enough why, you'll figure out the how. We all want to get better. We all want to improve. Sometimes that big why of where we want to go is so big, and we have to figure out a direction to go with. Now, in the case of the New York Red Bulls, the big why would be winning the MLS Cup. But underneath there, under the big why, is the how. Number 1 is signing good players. Number 2 is having a very organized and perfected practice schedule. Number 3, making sure that here at Red Bull Arena, they're winning their home games. So here's the key. In the goal setting session that you're going to see here, you're going to have an opportunity to understand how to make those big whys. Learn how to write down your goals, how to make them specific, realistic, and you can measure them. You see, a good thing about goals is if they're written down, they're made public, and they're looked at and done every day, you'll find success. Goal setting is a process. The article below will help give you some of the details and some of the key strategies to help you be more successful, not only in sports, but in life.
So that was a really interesting concept I came across from an academy program in the US as well. And again, talking about making goals public and helping you not only in sport but in life, I found really interesting. So check out their resources and get those on the discussion board, your thoughts around it. Some really good stuff going on at some of the clubs across the US and globally as well, across the UK, Europe, South America, everywhere really. It's just about finding what's best fit for your athletes and your club environment. So, the difficulty of achieving goals. Research has stated that specific difficult goals consistently lead to higher performance when compared to just urging people to do their best. Also, the highest level of effort occurred when the task was moderately difficult. The lowest levels occurred when the task was either very easy or very hard. So obviously, motivation levels when the task is really easy, oh well, can't be bothered. And if it's very hard, oh well, this is impossible to achieve, so why try? For goal setting to be effective, research suggests individuals require two key things. That's feedback, so the athlete or the individual knows where they are regarding the goal and what level they're at, and maybe feedback comparing to the peers, which is orientation of a different orientation, ego orientation, or feedback for their own development and where they were at this time last year, this time 3 months ago, which is task oriented feedback again. And also self-efficacy is important. Belief in their own competence and their own ability to achieve those goals. So setting challenging goals obviously requires a careful balance to ensure the right degree of challenge, as we alluded to in the opening paragraph on this slide. Too easy or too difficult can negatively affect motivation and decrease performance. The highest levels of motivation are achieved when goals are somewhere between easy and difficult. So, moving on to goal orientation, and as we started to introduce. So this is a social cognitive theory of achievement motivation and examines why individuals engage in chosen activities, chosen endeavours, set themselves goals. In this case, it's sport or soccer. Research suggests and points towards two distinctive goal perspectives. There's differing terminology used to describe these goal orientations, but they're in essence the same theory. Outcome and performance, mastery and competitive, and the terms we're going to refer to are task and ego-oriented goals. So, the task orientation operates when an individual's actions are motivated by personal mastery, by improvement, and by developing and bettering themselves and their own abilities. Success and failure defined subjectively by the athlete's self-referenced perceptions of his or her performance. So what Nichols is saying there is success or failure is defined by how well they have done, not in comparison with others, just in how well they have done based on their own levels and their own ability. Task goal setting involves mastering technique or skills, developing new skills and quality of play. It's evaluated by your own personal improvements and self-referenced. And athletes who set task goals are said to be intrinsically motivated. So that motivation comes from within, the drive and the desire to be better, the drive and desire to improve, the drive and desire to be the best that they can be, if you like. So, in comparison, ego orientation is characterized by an athlete whose actions are primarily motivated to demonstrate competence, so beating an opponent, demonstrating superior ability, or showing off. Success and failure are most generally judged by these sort of athletes by comparing themselves with the performance of other competitors. So how did they do? Well, I did this, and I managed to finish above them, and was said to be an ego-driven athlete or an ego-driven statement. Ego goal setting involves completing tasks to boost your own ego, a bit of self-fulfillment, receiving praise and recognition in line with achievements, so delivering on a task so people will praise you and others will see the value of you instead of doing it just for yourself. Confirming your own self-concept, so believing that, I'm the best midfielder in the world, or I'm the best player on this team at passing the ball. Confirming that, and others confirming that. and it's evaluated in comparison with the performance of other athletes. Athletes who set ego goals, are said to be extrinsically motivated. So by the praise, by the recognition from others. So, moving on from this as well, or carrying on, it's been demonstrated in sports settings that task-oriented goals demonstrate greater improvements to performance than ego goals. So when completing goals for your own benefit and for your own development, it's said to lead to a greater improvement and a greater development. This is also attributed to greater task enjoyment, less boredom and less anxiety. So a study by Harrington on hockey players found that those with task-orientated goals enjoyed the sport a lot more. Other research has also indicated that a combination of task and ego goals may be preferable for optimum performance. So wanting to improve for your own self, but also wanting to demonstrate your own ability to others and beat your competitors may be seen as optimum. And I'm sure we can relate to both of those. Duda suggests that a person who stresses both goal perspectives has two sources of success and several reasons to continue participation. So the research might not be enough to just pigeonhole someone as a task or an ego-orientated athlete. So, to conclude, a goal can be defined simply as what the individual is trying to do, and goal setting can be used to build confidence, enhance technique and provide focus. For goal setting to be effective in a sporting environment, we need to look at various criteria. These include smarter goals, which we discussed in depth. Goals should be recorded in a place where they can be easily seen by the athletes, thus becoming meaningful and real life to the individual. And in sports settings, task-orientated goals demonstrate greater improvements to performance when compared with ego goals. However, some research suggests a combination of both task and ego goals may be preferable for optimum performance. Again, the reading list is on Canvas if you want to do, and we encourage further research around goal setting. And then a couple of activities. Activity 1 that we'd like you to complete and upload onto the discussion board on Canvas is around setting goals with your team. So you can do that on a document and upload or type it in. And again, using some of the theory, some of the research around goal setting, create and set smarter goals for your current team within your coaching environment. Obviously referencing oriented goals, and then upload and share these goals on the discussion board. And then the second activity is around goal setting at an elite level, if you like. So select a nation competing in the FIFA World Cup finals. 4 years of hard work to reach the final stage. What individual and team goals would you set, and what steps would you undertake to set these goals? Would those goals differ from individual to individual based on position, based on ability, based on impact? How would you set them? And what would the team goals look like? Upload and share these goals and your rationale on the discussion board. Once again, thanks for listening. Again, another really interesting topic of debate around setting of goals, and hopefully we can take something away from this to implement within our own coaching environment. Thanks for your time and thanks for listening again, and I look forward to again seeing your activities and your responses on the discussion boards.